and welcome to the 4th Annual Maine Smart Growth Awards, a program of Grow Smart Maine.
This year's 4 award winners are being revealed here today at the 2021 Grow Smart Maine Annual Summit. Thank you all for being here with us.
But before we get started, here's some introductory remarks from Grow Smart Maine's Executive Director, Nancy Smith.
I'm Nancy Smith, Executive Director of Grow Smart Maine. Smart growth is a set of land use principles designed to allow your community to welcome and accommodate growth where it makes sense for the long term. But smart growth is so much more than land use because of the impact it has on aspects of our everyday life. It's about housing and transportation choices. It's about access to open space and fresh foods while still having economic growth. It's about bringing broadband to your community without creating sprawl that destroys the quality of life and the quality of place that defines Maine. I'm really proud of the work that Grow Smart Maine has done since 2004. And as part of that, we have our Maine Smart Growth Awards. This is an opportunity to recognize the people, places, and plans that show the value smart growth brings to communities from across our state. We're grateful to our panel of distinguished judges who determined this year's award winners. They are Southern Maine Planning and Development Commission Director Paul Schumacher, retired economist Chuck Lawton, CEI Chief Executive Officer Betsy Beeman, and the Nature Conservancy's Director of Government Relations and Climate Policy, Rob Wood. Our judges evaluated nominations submitted from across Maine using criteria that included mixed use, compact design, and placemaking, housing opportunity and choice, transportation choice and walkable communities, preservation of open space, community transformation, climate change resilience, and public engagement.
Thank you, Nancy. All of us in attendance here share common hopes and fears for the future. Across Maine, we are keenly focused on challenges: social and economic injustice, escalating housing costs, sprawl, climate change, challenges that threaten the quality of life that define our Maine communities. We hope that you will find inspiration in the stories behind the people, projects, and plans that we proudly honor here today.
The planning challenges of our times can be a particular challenge to smaller rural communities, and these places may feel a lack of resources and capacity to make meaningful action. Some rural communities have shown us what can be achieved when we band together to organize towards sustainable community outcomes. Our first awardee is a shining example of one such banding together in a rural town.
CB, the Center for an Ecology-Based Economy, Outstanding Community Development Initiatives. The Center for Ecology-Based Economy is a nonprofit organization based in Norway, Maine. CB's mission is to engage the community in addressing the climate emergency. They organize, educate, take direct action, and implement practical ecological solutions for a just transition to a thriving, regenerative economy.
Yeah, hi, I'm Scott Vlan, and I'm the Executive Director of the Center for an Ecology-Based Economy here in Norway, Maine, and I'm standing here today in our lovely food forest. Our mission is really to engage the community in working for climate justice, simultaneously trying to transition this area into a more resilient community and to help do our part as part of lots of networks to restore the planet and beat back climate change. We're trying to make sure that that transition to a post-carbon future is just and equitable and engages as many people as possible and especially supports the people that are suffering the most from climate change and have done the least to cause it.
In its short history, CB has launched an impressive array of direct action initiatives such as Spoke Folks, a worker cooperative that hauls trash, recycling, and food waste by bicycle, while working to educate customers about waste reduction and composting. Local food programs, such as an edible Main Street project, community gardens, and a community food forest. A Norway-based bike share program, providing convenient, low-cost bicycle access and promoting cycling as an alternative for in-town travel. Solar electric initiatives, such as the planning of the Community Solar Cooperative, as well as the ongoing expansion of a network of free EV charging stations across the region, which are successfully reducing barriers to electric vehicle ownership.
One of our first collaborations was with Revision Energy, getting some people signed up for a community solar farm, and as a gift they gave us an electric vehicle charger. And we had no idea what to even do with this thing, and there was no electric vehicle, so we talked to our town, and they were amenable to hosting this charger. And as we got more electric vehicles in town, we got some funding to put in more chargers. We've really seen electric vehicles grow in this town. We talked to all the local municipalities to see who would host chargers, and in some cases it was a town, in some cases it was a private enterprise. So we've been able to build this charging network, and it's all free charging, level 2 charging, which has really, I think, given people confidence to adopt electric vehicles. It's kind of a chicken and egg thing with charging infrastructure in cars. It has been something that has sparked this transition and has given people the confidence that they can drive around the Oxford Hills in an electric vehicle and have adequate charging.
Looking to the future, CB is working with community partners laying plans to develop cooperative housing that's intergenerational, permanent, and affordable. Increasingly, CB finds itself working not only on these direct action initiatives, but also in policy and advocacy work at the local, state, and federal level.
We also work in policy, and especially in coalition. So sometimes, like when we tried to do community solar, we didn't have the policy that would make that work, so we stopped. We went to work in coalition with NRCM and others in the state to change solar policy, so now we can enact the kind of projects that we want. So we kind of go back and forth between working on policy, statewide work, and then trying to implement things locally to build community resilience here.
Grow Smart Maine commends the work that CB has done and continues to do to advance smart growth principles and create a more sustainable and resilient future for the Norway region. We therefore are proud to present CB with this 2021 Maine Smart Growth Award.
Wow, it's so encouraging to see all of the great work that CB is doing in the Oxford Hills region.
And it's not just rural Maine where we see these communities taking smart growth into their own hands.
No, in Maine cities, the later half of the last century saw massive urban disinvestment, which had a particularly devastating effect on marginalized communities.
In the 21st century, Maine is experiencing significant urban reinvestment, and this offers great promise for the future, but cities and towns have to grapple with how to ensure that reinvestment reaches all community members, regardless of cultural heritage or economic status.
Our next awardee has responded to that challenge with an ambitious plan that has social and economic justice at its core.
The City of Lewiston, Community Concepts, and Choice Neighborhood Partners. Choice Neighborhood Transformation Plan. In recent years, the City of Lewiston has seen significant economic investment into its downtown and mill districts, marking an exciting turning point in the city's economic development. However, just a few blocks away, there is Lewiston's Tree Streets neighborhood, one of the poorest and most distressed neighborhoods in the state. Regrettably, the Tree Streets have yet to see the same sort of reinvestment as other parts of the city.
I'm Misty Parker. I'm the Economic Development Manager with the City of Lewiston, Maine. Over the years, due to loss of jobs with manufacturing and the mills closing down, increase in poverty rates, and also just a transition of the housing from a lot of family-owned buildings to predominantly income-producing buildings. We experienced a lack of maintenance, deteriorating buildings, and especially due to the age of them, some significant health issues. While Maine is actually getting older and is one of the oldest states in the nation, Lewiston's getting younger. We have a lot of youth here, and they're predominantly living in the downtown area, which is fantastic for the city, fantastic for the state. But due to the distressed nature of the buildings that they're living in, we have significantly high rates of childhood lead poisoning.
Responding to these challenges, the City of Lewiston and the nonprofit Community Concepts facilitated a robust community process with multiple community partners in the development of a comprehensive neighborhood transformation plan named Growing Our Tree Streets.
And so that led us to HUD's Choice Neighborhood program. We have our Choice Neighborhoods Transformation Plan we developed with over 400 residents that focuses on not just the housing, but the people who live in that housing and how they can improve educational outcomes for their family, income outcomes, health outcomes, and really achieve the goals that they have for themselves and their family.
Growing Our Tree Streets lays out plans to systematically redevelop each and every pre-1950 distressed housing unit to achieve an entirely lead-free Tree Streets neighborhood. To get this started, over the next 5 years, the plan calls for the redevelopment of 3 initial replacement sites strategically located within the study area.
So we have strategies for our first initial housing developments to replace about 92 distressed housing units with 185 new housing units. And we're planning to do those in a way that'll catalyze other development around them.
Site 1 on Pine Street at Kennedy Park will create 2 mixed-use and mixed-income buildings providing 71 market and affordable apartments. And it will house a community food center featuring a commercial kitchen for local startups. Site 2 is made up of almost an entire block bound by Pine, Walnut, and Pierce Streets. This project will create 74 units of mixed-income housing in multiple buildings in a lower density arrangement featuring larger 3- and 4-bedroom units. Site 3 on Ash Street will feature 40 1-, 2-, and 3-bedroom units in a modern townhouse style. Already, the Growing Our Tree Streets plan has helped to inspire other private investment in the study area, including Gavreau Place, 35 units of workforce housing by Avesta Housing and Community Concepts that's currently under construction on Pine Street, as well as 2 new buildings being developed by the Raisop Cooperative at Blake and Shawmut Streets, featuring 2 9-unit buildings and slated to start construction next year. But Growing Our Tree Streets doesn't stop there.
We also have plans for expanding childcare, doing a community food center, improving safety in the neighborhood, as well as activities for youth and improving health access for residents here. We really focused on just keeping the building patterns consistent with those historical good building patterns that created the walkable neighborhood it is today, and building on it to be a neighborhood of the future.
The Growing Our Tree Streets plan demonstrates the enormous power of public-private partnerships to tackle community challenges and better the lives of residents. We are therefore proud to present the City of Lewiston, Community Concepts, and community partners with this 2021 Maine Smart Growth Award.
Such an inspiring story from Lewiston.
And it really shows the power and value of good community planning.
The planning profession is absolutely critical to shaping a better future for Maine. We're lucky to have so many great land use planners across Maine doing incredible work.
Our next awardee is probably the most accomplished and well-known planner in Maine's history. He's been referred to by his peers as the father of planning in Maine, and his work has had far-reaching and transformative effects on our state.
Maine planner Evan Richert, Lifetime Achievement Award. Since the early 1970s, Evan Richert has worked across Maine as a planning director and consultant, including 8 years as director of the State Planning Office and later as planner to the town of Orono.
I'm Evan Richert, and I'm a retired city and land use planner. A huge challenge is figuring out how to integrate all the pieces that make up a town or a city or a region, and having enough resources to invest in the planning and related professions to do that. And that's grown quite a bit actually over the years since I started working in Maine in the 1970s, but it's waxed and waned. There was a period around the late 1980s into the early 1990s where it kind of hit a peak.
It was during that peak, while serving as the state director, that Evan was instrumental in the creation of Maine's landmark Growth Management Act,
which was a very much a milestone act that had been negotiated by Maine Municipal Association representing municipalities, the Merida representing developers and realtors, and others. It was really a landmark piece of legislation, and I was fortunate enough, I and my colleagues were fortunate enough to be in the thick of it during that time, and got the tools really to begin to integrate concepts of land use and transportation and natural resources and wildlife and economic development, and help towns see how these pieces fit together.
Evan authored the early manuals that set the tone for the land use planning profession in Maine, including Comprehensive Planning, a manual for Maine communities, and the Sensible Transportation Handbook. Evan's support of R&D in Maine led toward the creation of the Maine Technology Institute and the Gulf of Maine Ocean Observing System. He co-founded Upstart Maine, a coalition of entrepreneur support programs in the Bangor region, and still serves today on the board that oversees the Upstart Center for Entrepreneurship in Orono. And in the area of conservation, Evan served as the state's lead negotiator for the decommissioning of the Edwards Dam on the Kennebec River in Augusta, a project that provided a nationally recognized model for river restoration. He also served as planner on a 4-person advisory team instrumental in shaping the Moosehead Lake Concept Plan, which established a 360,000-acre conservation easement in the region, one of the largest such easements in the United States. Evan developed the Maine Vernal Pool Special Area Management Plan, a method of mitigating vernal pool impacts while enabling compact development within a municipality's designated growth area. In recent years, Evan has assisted developers integrating smart growth principles into projects such as the Chestnut Street Lofts in Portland and the University Credit Union headquarters in Orono. The depth and breadth of his work is absolutely remarkable. But the thing that his colleagues all seem to value the most about him is his unwavering kindness, consideration, and humility.
Almost everything that I have claimed to accomplish has really been a team effort. There's almost nothing that I did by myself. Sometimes it wasn't even my initiative. It was just something I joined. And sometimes it was my initiative that other people joined. But it's the partnerships that I developed with various people that was really terrific, and I owe an awful lot to those partnerships.
We are therefore proud to present Evan Richert, Champion of Smart Growth, with this 2021 Maine Smart Growth Award.
What a remarkable career. Congratulations, Evan, and thank you for all you've done to promote smart growth in Maine.
From a story about an incredible Maine person who knows how to connect all the pieces, we now turn to this year's final awardee, an exceptional Maine project that managed to connect all the pieces.
Portland Housing Authority, Solterra Apartments, Outstanding Project. Portland Housing is Maine's largest housing authority and provides direct service to about 10% of Portland's population.
I'm Cheryl Sessions, and I'm the Executive Director of the Portland Housing Authority. The mission of the Portland Housing Authority is to provide safe, sanitary, affordable housing to residents of the Portland area.
Completed in 2020, Solterra Apartments is a 55-unit, 6-story, mixed-use family apartment building with ground floor commercial space located at the corner of Boyd and Lancaster Streets. In order to promote economic diversity, the 55 apartments at Solterra serve residents from a broad range of economic circumstances.
My name is Jay Waterman. I'm the Director of Real Estate Development at the Portland Housing Authority and the Portland Housing Development Corporation. We have 55 units of housing here at Solterra. 44 units are affordable and 11 are market rate. We also have 28 units that have project-based vouchers, and we have 5 units that are actually reserved for residents who are formerly homeless, coming from the city's shelter program.
We also have a serious challenge with affordable housing here in Portland, and what PHA is doing is trying to provide more opportunities within our own footprint to increase the number of available affordable housing units.
In the 1960s, as part of urban renewal, more than 200 structures, many owned by low-income residents, were demolished to make way for a divided highway here. Solterra repairs a significant swath of that social and physical damage by reintroducing equitable housing choices, mixed uses, street grid connectivity, and walkability. Portland Housing places high importance on these contributions it is making to the rebuilding of the Bayside neighborhood.
So as Cheryl mentioned, this is part of a bigger master plan for the East Bayside neighborhood that we have. We have a lot of underutilized property in the area, and we also really hope to recreate a little bit more of the lost Bayside street grid and mixed use and mixed income properties in this area. So Solterra, as well as Bayside Anchor across the street, are pieces to a larger puzzle.
The name Solterra was derived from the Latin root for sun and earth, sol terra. paying homage to the solar panels on the roof as well as the food security and gardening focus of the community that was created here.
We have quite an integrated services program through a lot of service providers in Portland. We have a partnership with Cultivating Community, who is also our tenant in the building, and they have classes for residents in terms of nutrition and food security, and also run the community gardens that's next door. We also have a telehealth program and a partnership with Greater Portland Health. They bring telemedicine and telehealth services directly to the residents in their units.
Never to rest on their laurels, Portland Housing sees Solterra not as a finish line, but as the starting point to larger plans to serve Portland's ongoing housing needs.
We are trying to look within our footprint to look for opportunities to add additional units, as well as to position our current portfolio for the future, to do major rehabs and add units as we go. This is an example of an underutilized piece of land that we had that we were able to add a number of units. You'll be seeing that happen on several other of our properties within our portfolio.
All of us at GrowSmart Maine want to congratulate the Portland Housing Authority on a job exceptionally well done. We are therefore proud to present the Portland Housing Authority's Solterra Apartments with this 2021 Maine Smart Growth Award.
So that's it, your 2021 4th Annual Maine Smart Growth Awards. Thanks for watching.
And congratulations, and above all, thank you to all of this year's awardees for the leading edge work you do to make Maine a more equitable, livable, and sustainable place for us all to call home.
And thanks also to the incredible nominations we received from across the state. You really made it difficult for our judges to choose just 4.
And finally, thank you to our 4 esteemed judges for taking time from your schedules to support this program.
We look forward to seeing you all again in 2022.